Let's meditate together a little bit, particularly on the theme of gratitude, of appreciating the good things that we have in our lives. Many things we take for granted, the good things, the bad things, but especially related to the good things, and we completely forget that it could come much worse. I mean, of course, life is never perfect. That's the nature of samsara, that it's not perfect. That's why we're trying to get out of samsara as Buddhists and attain nibbana. But nonetheless, there are also many positive things, many good things happening in our lives. So it's also good to appreciate those and develop a sense of joy and contentment and gratitude on account of those. So we can get into a meditation posture, sitting upright and relaxed. We can check whether there's any tension in the body, and if yes, relax that part. Particularly the facial muscles around the eyes, around the mouth. Relaxing the shoulders or making a small adjustment. All the way down to the legs and feet. Speaking of the body, we can already appreciate that currently we don't have any major injuries. I hope. There may be some smaller ailments or a small wound that is still healing. But if we look around, nobody's missing an arm, nobody's missing a leg. Fantastic. There are many people in the world who have an arm missing, a leg missing, a finger missing. Just imagine, how would life be? How different would it be with only one arm? How would I drive a car? How would I bind my shoelaces? How would I eat? How can I cut something up while holding it? If we have two arms, two legs, all the limbs intact, how wonderful. Do I have any major illness, sickness, any chronic disease? Of course, almost everyone who is more than 15 years old has one or the other little ailment every now and then. But if we don't have anything life-threatening, or something that constantly gives us pain, that's amazing. There are many people in the world with chronic headaches, migraine, that almost never goes completely away. Arthritis, Always some pain in the limbs, the bones. If I don't have that, let me appreciate that. Not just the absence of physical pain, mental pain itself can be very debilitating. Anxiety, constant fear. Just being fearful for a minute is unpleasant. Just imagine that goes on for a long time. Depression. A very bleak outlook on the future. Regrets over things we have done in the past. Constantly worried, regretting. How painful. If your mind is healthy, functional, can be grateful for that. We're living in a country where there is no war, and where there hasn't been war for a long time. Where there's easy access to food, to medicine, if I get sick, I can see a doctor. If it's something complicated, we can even consult a specialist. There are many regions in the world where even a simple general doctor is hard to find or difficult to afford. Not to speak of specialists. Just 50 years ago, 100 years ago, not even the richest person in the world had better health care, access to better medicine than all of us here today. Nobody had access to an electric fan or an air conditioner. We do. How comfortable. Not even the richest person in the world had access to the internet, had a smartphone. Information at the tip of one's fingers, as well as entertainment. Being grateful for all those things, those conditions. Our parents, who have shown us the world, explained things, have been patient, endured us when we were rude or unkind, stood by our side mostly. How amazing. Not everyone has parents like this. They're children, they're babies who are abandoned straight after birth for others to find on the roadside. Just imagine how different your life would be if this were you. The lack of safety, of warmth, of kindness, mutual affection. If we experience that in our own family, something special, something to cherish. Gratitude for so pleasant conditions. It could have come so much worse. If I could choose, if I could really choose, in which time of history would I want to live? The Middle Ages, Stone Age. What was the life expectancy? If I was born as a woman at the time, there's a good chance I might just die at a while or soon after giving birth. That was very common, very normal, until not long ago. If I was a man, I might still die very early due to some infections, a small wound, getting infected, viruses, death. Life was hard. Working on the fields, hunting. No food security. Not sure. Any time in history where I would prefer living. A fair amount of population were kept as slaves. How would my life look as a slave? I have experienced none of this my whole life. Most of us have experienced none of this in our life. How wonderful, how amazing. So many things are going right in my life. Nothing is ever perfect, but more than good enough. No reason to be dissatisfied. Politics is never perfect. Economy is never perfect. Family is never perfect. Health is never perfect. But good enough. Surprisingly good compared to how bad it could get. Let me be grateful for all the good circumstances I find myself. The kind people in my life, family, friends, even strangers. The country. And on top of all that, I even have the time, leisure, to attend to the Buddha's teachings, philosophy of the mind, training the mind for further purification. Can listen to the Dhamma, either online or offline. Time to meditate. The Buddha's teachings are more accessible than ever before. More accessible than 100 years ago, 500 years ago, and even 2,500 years ago when the Buddha was still alive. If you didn't live in Middle India, you might never have heard of the Buddha, never have heard about his teachings. You can live at the same time, even in the same country, you will never have heard it. Nowadays, at every corner of the world, we can access the words of the Buddha, recorded in the discourses. We can read them, listen to them, practice accordingly. How amazing. realizing all the blessings that we have in our lives gives rise to a sense of gratitude and contentment. Appreciating what we have already. All of that is more than good enough for well-being and happiness. If it isn't, then it's unlikely that getting a bit more of something will then lead to happiness. If all of this still isn't enough, it will never be. I must be doing something wrong. Therefore it's important from time to time to look back, take stock, appreciate all the good things that are happening in our lives with appreciation, gratitude, and humility. I offer that for your reflection today. Let me quickly double check. How many arms does everyone have? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Legs, same. If you play this thought experiment, isn't it amazing? How would life be? So many daily life things. I was just thinking, how would we eat? While eating, you want to cut a piece of meat into 2 pieces, or you cannot hold it and cut at the same time with just one hand. Simple things like that. Amazing. Or sometimes also the memory comes up when we have been sick for a while, maybe with a fever, a cold, or COVID back in the days. And then all you can think about is, I want to get healthy again. I want to overcome that sickness. Or even just an injury somewhere, a finger or a toe. Even that can feel quite bad. Just a small thing. It takes on the whole day or the whole mental bandwidth almost. I just want to recover from that. And finally, usually we do recover. Maybe a few days or a week later, 2 weeks. Whew, so nice. And then life goes on and we completely forget about how great it is not to have all these injuries or not to be sick anymore. Like this morning, we all came here, feel healthy, everything okay. Most likely we didn't wake up and say, wow, amazing, I'm healthy today. I'm not having any pains, I'm not having a cold, no injuries. But if you have an injury, that's all you can think about. When you have a cold, you just want to get rid of this thing. But then once we have overcome it, we take it for granted. Normal, nothing special. And all over the world there are people sick, ailing, chronic ailments, war countries, social unrest, and all the rest, mental disease. If you have none of that, it's like winning the lottery. But we should actually be celebrating every day in the morning, like having won the lottery. Of course, normally we don't. We get used to that. But we can deliberately bring that back. So just a few minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes of reflection about all the good things happening in our lives. The good people, the circumstances, country, safety, education. There's no end.